Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoded, the place where we decipher corporate filings so you don't have to. Today we're diving into brand's proxy statement. It's not a financial report full of exciting numbers, but proxy statements are like backstage passes, giving us a peek into how the company's run and who's calling the shots. Spoiler alert, there are a few shareholder squabbles brewing. First, what exactly is a proxy statement? Think of it as a rule book and voting guide for a company's annual meeting. It tells shareholders what they'll be voting on, who the nominees are for the board of directors, and often includes some not so thrilling but important governance details. This document starts with a friendly invitation to the annual shareholder meeting. It's happening virtually in May, so no need to book a flight to Kentucky where their headquarters are. What is on the agenda? Electing directors, ratifying their accounting firm, and voting on some proposals, including some from shareholders that Yum doesn't exactly love. Let's tackle some key questions about the meeting. Who gets a vote? Anyone who owned Yum stock back in March. And what are they voting on? Mostly routine stuff like electing directors and approving the company's auditors, KPMG. The board is also asking shareholders to give a thumbs up to their executive compensation, which, knowing these filings, is likely quite generous. There are also 3 shareholder proposals, but more on these later. How does the board want you to vote? Surprise, surprise, they recommend voting for their director picks, for ratifying the auditors, and for their executive pay plan. This part is Corporate Governance 101. It also seems that the board of directors is eggy on the shareholder proposals. Now let's dive into the governance section. This part outlines how the company is run, who's on the board, and how they make decisions. It's the equivalent of reading the instruction manual before assembling a complex piece of furniture, except less riveting. The board has 12 members, and the filing emphasizes their diverse backgrounds and skills, aligning with the company's recipe for good growth strategy, trying to show you they have all bases covered. They also provide what is called a diversity matrix, showing a pretty homogeneous makeup. Next is a section that offers short bios of each director, highlighting their qualifications and experience. It's like a corporate yearbook, but instead of most likely to succeed, it's most likely to increase shareholder value. They have qualifications and skills across a wide range of public and private companies, possessing a broad spectrum of experience both individually and collectively. It's clear they're trying to show that this board knows what it's doing. Now for a topic that always raises eyebrows, director compensation. Non-employee directors get paid pretty well, mostly in stock. The chairman of the board gets an extra chunk of stock, and committee chairs get a little something extra too. Seems like a sweet gig if you can get it. However, employee directors do not get paid extra for being on the board of directors. Okay, let's get to the stuff that requires shareholders to actually take action. Starting with item 1, electing directors, the board is recommending 12 nominees. Item 2 is about ratifying the selection of KPMG as the independent auditor. Basically, shareholders get to rubber stamp the board's choice. The fees paid to KPMG are detailed, broken down by audit fees, audit-related fees, and tax fees. Nothing too exciting here, just corporate housekeeping, as it is required that they hire an independent auditor to keep things fair. Item 3 asks shareholders to give an advisory vote on executive compensation. It's a non-binding vote on whether or not they think the top dogs are getting paid too much. Item 4 is approval of the company's 2025 long-term incentive plan. Basically, they are asking to issue more stock so they can pay themselves and other employees with stock-based compensation. They are only asking for 19 million shares, which is estimated to last them around 10 years. However, we will see as those calculations can be wrong for a multitude of reasons. Here's where things get a little spicy: shareholder proposals. One proposal is regarding antimicrobial use in food-producing animals. A group called the Shareholder Commons wants Yum to comply with World Health Organization guidelines on antibiotic use throughout its supply chain. The board, of course, recommends voting against it, arguing they already have a comprehensive strategy and this would just mess things up. Shareholder proposal regarding report on faith-based employee resource groups. Another shareholder proposal asks for a report on religious discrimination risks against employees and whether or not they allow faith-based employee resource groups. The board is, of course, also against this proposal, stating that there is no need to assess the religious risk since the current system in place is enough. They also stated that they do not have any particular interest from employees in faith-based employee resource groups. The board is, of course, also against this proposal, stating that there is no need to assess the religious risk since the current system in place is enough. They also stated that they do not have any particular interest from employees in faith-based employee resource groups. Finally, there's a proposal regarding workplace safety. The proponent wants an independent audit of workplace safety policies and practices throughout Yum brands after some instances of violence. Surprise, the board also recommends voting against this one, saying they already have strong safety standards. Let's check out who owns the most Yum stock. The Vanguard Group is at the top, followed by BlackRock and then JP Morgan Chase & Co. These are the big institutional investors that can really influence things. Next up, how much stock do the directors and execs own? As a group, they own a decent chunk, but nothing earth-shattering. It's good to see they have skin in the game, though. Now we come to the compensation discussion and analysis, or CD&A. This section breaks down how the top executives get paid. The goal is to align the executives with the shareholders. Sounds good in theory. How is it implemented? Performance-based pay seems standard. The company did well, opening over 4,535 new restaurants and hitting some key financial goals. Taco Bell and KFC International are doing amazing. The report mentions something called core operating profit growth, which increased. All that means is that they seem to be doing pretty good despite the global environment. A quick look at how the executives are paid. We are talking salary, cash bonuses, and stock. The base salary pays for the base things, while the incentives are there to drive performance. Here's how compensation decisions are made. The committee, which is full of independent board members, makes the big calls, and they hired an independent consultant, which is great for outside point of view. They then follow a specific annual process for compensation. Finally, we have to talk about the CEO pay ratio, which is how much the CEO makes compared to the median employee. The estimated ratio is 1440 to 1. In other words, the CEO makes 40 times what a typical employee makes. This pay ratio is a reasonable estimate calculated in a manner consistent with SEC rules. It looks like those entry-level positions can really create a disparity. Now, stepping back and looking at this proxy statement, Yum Brands seems to be in a solid position. Their growth strategy is chugging along and they are focusing on tech. Tate Oliver, the shareholder proposals about antibiotic use and workplace safety do raise some questions. Maybe things aren't perfectly balanced while the company is trying to downplay these as minor issues. These are things that can lead to reputational risks. Overall, Yum Brands is doing what they think is best. Whether you agree with that and the strategy, that is up to you. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more corporate deep dives. Until next time.